Wow. I can't believe it's been a year. 1 year ago today, I got this black troublemaker with floppy ears from a shelter about 30 miles away from here. It's also kind of weird. I don't know if I've told the story before, but since it is Copper and my first anniversary, I guess it'd be a good time to tell the story of how I got him. Well, a little over a year ago, I decided that we just through different circumstances and whatever, and mostly because of financial reasons, I decided that originally I was going to go and live in Mexico, and then they changed the requirements for being able to stay there like over 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And plus there were some things that happened that I decided, you know what, I think I'm better off just staying in the U.S. and not going to any foreign countries and just, so I decided to go camping and just kind of travel around. And so I bought a 4-wheel drive so I could go up in the mountains and stuff. And I also thought it would be a good idea to have a dog. When you're out camping like that, you never know when people, most of the time you're safe, but every once in a while, you just never know what could happen. And so I wanted to get me a dog, a good-sized dog. I didn't want a little yapper. Those drive me crazy anyway. But I decided I wanted to get me a dog to take along with me. So I started looking at different shelters. There was a German Shepherd that I was considering. There was a couple of pit bulls that I was considering, although I'm not real sold on pit bulls. I know that they can be nice dogs, but I've also seen where they can be, pretty mean too. And I understand it's how you raise them or whatever. Anyway, I was looking at this one shelter in a town about 30 miles away from here, and there was this one bull terrier that I was very interested in. It was kind of evident they were having a hard time placing him because they did not have any fee for him. It said fee was waived. So that right there kind of makes you wonder. But, I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'll give the dog a chance. And so I went over to I called them about him and said, okay, I want to come over and see this dog. So I went over to the shelter and met this bull terrier, and he wouldn't pay any attention to me at all. They brought him over to me, and he kept looking around. He was looking at, of course, the people that were working there, and he acted just totally ignored me like I didn't exist. And I was trying to get him to come to me. They gave him his leash, and I was kind of not really pulling him, but I was kind of like trying to coax him over to me. And he just wouldn't have anything to do with me at all. And so it's kind of like there was really no chance to see if the dog and I were compatible or whatever, And so, I kind of told him, I said, nah, I said, I can tell right now that this is not going to work, because he did not want to mind. And I didn't want a dog that wouldn't mind. And of course, bull terriers can be very bullheaded. So I said, nah. So they had a chocolate lab. I think his name was Duke. And he came out there, and it was a huge dog. But he was just super, super sweet. And he and I hit it off right off the bat. The only thing is, there were 3 other families that were trying to get him. In fact, one of the families was right there. I was looking at the dog, and they're kind of looking at me like, you're not going to take our dog, are you? So I don't know, there was 3 other families, and of course, I did not have a fenced-in yard, and they said that he really needed a fenced-in yard, and these other people had fenced-in yards, and so I kind of figured I was out of the running, even though I really, really liked the dog. I was kind of disappointed because he was kind of like my first choice. As it turns out, I ended up with a better dog. But anyway, so they took Duke back in, and they brought this other dog out, which I don't remember even what kind of dog it was. I think it was a pit bull. And it just, the thing I didn't like about it is it said that you couldn't have it around other dogs. And it's like, okay, that's not going to work, because I like to be able to go to the dog park and stuff like that without worrying about my dog getting in a fight. So I was like, no, that's really not my cup of tea. I want a nicer dog. Of course, I had looked on their list, and of course, one of the dogs on there was Copper, but I really wasn't interested in him. I don't remember why. When I say I wasn't interested in him, I mean, looking at it online, looking at the pictures, because I had my mind set on that bull terrier. That was the whole reason I went over there, and when that didn't work out, it's kind of like, eh. But I really liked the chocolate lab. So they said, well, and so I thought, well, this is kind of a wasted trip over here. And I said, well, what about Copper? Can I take a look at him? And they told me he was kind of skittish and stuff, and scared of a lot of things, that he'd been abused or whatever. Well, there was a family that had taken him home, and this was a family that worked with the shelter there, and they had taken him home for the weekend, and he'd been with them. Well, the guy was sitting there on the couch. I was sitting in a chair, and he was sitting on the couch to my left, and they bring Copper in, and as soon as they bring him in, I said, hey, buddy, and he jumps up on the couch and trying to hide behind the guy that he'd spent the weekend with. It's funny to think about it now. He was scared to death of me, but he's laying there on the couch, and I was close enough sitting in the chair, where I could actually reach over and pet him. So I just, sat there for a little bit, and we're talking, and I thought, well, maybe this is another, lost cause. Maybe this is a wasted trip coming over here. But then Copper kind of started looking at me, and I reached over and I started petting him, and he really warmed up. And so I'm sitting there just petting him and talking to him, and being nice, and he started warming up to me. And I said, well, maybe he might be okay, and they said, well, you want to take him home? And I'm like, right now? And he said, yeah. It's like, at least, try to take him home, try him out. And I'm like, and for some reason, I just wasn't ready to do that yet. And so I said, let me go home. Let me think about it. Of course, I'm sure that they thought, as soon as I said that I wouldn't be back, because you know how it is. People say, well, let me go home, think about it. And you never see them again. Like if you're a salesperson or whatever, that type of thing. So anyway, so let me go home and think about it. And, I'll let you know. And so I went home and I talked to my best friend, talked to this other gal friend of mine. And it's like, maybe I'll give him a shot and see how it goes. So I called the gal up at the shelter and said, yeah, I'll set up a time and I can go and pick him up, blah, blah, blah. So I went over there, and my gal friend and I went over in her Jeep and went and picked him up and brought him home. Excuse me. And right off the bat, he just about got in a fight with her little dog. But he was in the back seat of the Jeep, and she has this little yapper dog, little Chihuahua mix, and she held him right up to Copper, and Copper's like, and I said, well, you don't go sticking him in his face. I mean, she held it right up to his face. I mean, this dog doesn't know who we are, but it was interesting because it took forever to get him out of there. He did not want to get out of the vehicle at all. Finally got him out. And the way I did it was I went and I hid behind the Jeep, kind of walked back behind there where he couldn't see me. When I did that, then he jumped out of the Jeep. So then we went into her apartment, and once we got in there, he and the other dog were fine. There was no more aggression. He was just scared. And so we came home, and I had him for probably a month, before the gal contacted me again, and she goes, well, what do you think? Are you planning on keeping him, or are you going to bring him back? And I remember I was actually thinking about taking him back, and now it's funny because I don't even remember the reason why. Maybe it was due to, it's like the cost of having a dog or whatever. I don't remember. I can't even remember now. But I remember my best friend came over, and I was kind of bummed out, and he goes, what's up? And I'm like, well, I think I'm going to end up taking him back. And so we talked about it, and I said, I just really think that would be the best way to go. Actually, the main reason now, I just remember, the main reason was because he was scared of everything, and it was just driving me crazy because it was like he was scared to go outside, he was scared to come back in, he was scared to go anywhere in the vehicle, he was scared of the bushes that were by the driveway. There's some like evergreen shrubs that are by the driveway. And he was scared to death of them. He was scared to death of shapes. He was scared to death of boxes, which he kind of still is, but not nearly as bad. But he gets scared, and every time he gets scared, he like pees all over everything. He still does that. He did that the other day, which that doesn't happen very often. But it's just like, I just don't know if I can handle having a dog that's scared of everything like that. It's just way too skittish. I mean, he even ran from the squirrels. He still won't go near the squirrels. It's like the other dogs I had, they were always after him. But, but in one way that's good because he's not chasing and killing stuff, and he's not aggressive. The only time he's aggressive is if he feels threatened or if he feels I'm being threatened. So anyway, I told Mark, I said, I think I'm going to take him back. So I was going to call the gal and tell her that, I just can't keep him. And, it was like, I don't remember what happened, but it's like, the more I thought about it, there's just, I'd grown attached enough to him that I just couldn't bring myself to do that. And I'm so glad I didn't. So I decided to go ahead and keep him. Well, plus it was a $140 fee, which at the time, I don't have that much money coming in. $140 was a lot of money to me. Still is. But it's like, he's really, I think he'll be a good dog. And, so I decided to keep him. So the gal called me after like I said, I'd had him about a month, probably, maybe even 2. It was a while. Because I almost was thinking, God, are they forgetting about it? But she finally called me and she says, well, what do you want to do? So I said, no, I'm going to keep him. And so she set up paperwork, went over there and took Copper with me when I went over there. And we took pictures and did all that stuff. And, and he was all excited, seeing, of course, the people that he had gotten kind of attached to at the shelter. He was all excited. I'm like, man, I wonder if he's even going to want to go when we get ready to go. So we're sitting there, and I got him on a leash, of course, and we're sitting there, and he's sitting in front of me. And so finally I said, what, do you want to go bye-bye? And he was like, Choop. He was ready to go, It's like, oh, okay. Well, he's not, all getting all excited about staying here and stuff, which was kind of cool, because I wasn't sure, because he was so excited to see everybody. And of course he was doing stuff that he was not allowed to do at home because I make dogs mind. I'm not mean to them, but I do make them mind. They need to be under control. But anyway, so all right, let's go. And of course we're zipped right back out to the vehicle and came home. And, it's been great ever since. You guys have seen what a cool dog he is, in the videos and stuff. He's really just an awesome dog. He's not low maintenance, but he's not high maintenance either. He's gotten very spoiled, very demanding. And that's my fault, because I do tend to spoil him. And like he gets a biscuit at noon at lunchtime, just to tide him over until dinner. And noon hits, and his internal clock is impeccable. Noon hits, and if he hasn't gotten his TREAT, because he knows what that means, so I'm not going to say it. Otherwise he'll be staring at me like, hey. So yeah, if noon hits and he hasn't gotten it yet, next thing I know, he's laying there on his bed just looking at me, just staring at me. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, it is time, isn't it? And the same thing, he gets one also too at bedtime. Like he goes out, he comes back in, he goes in his kennel, and he gets his biscuit. And so, if we don't, and we go to bed about the same time every night, and if I'm staying up a little bit later, watching something or working on a video or whatever, and it's time for BED, and we haven't gone BED yet, yeah, again, he's laying there just looking up at me, staring at me like, dude. But he is a character. If you guys can probably tell that from a lot of the videos. But he's a character. He's a great dog. And it's funny too, because when I first got him, he was not affectionate at all. I mean, not even the least bit affectionate, which is kind of unusual because I was used to dogs being, affectionate, and he just wasn't at all. And boy, it's done a complete 180 since a year ago. I mean, now he likes to cuddle. He'll come up and snuggle up against me and stuff, and he likes to be hugged, and he likes cuddling. If I have to take a nap or whatever, I'll go lay in the bed and he'll come up and lay next to me, and he is a bed hog. Very much a bed. I tried letting him sleep with me the first night, and that didn't work. So it's like, no, you're going to sleep in the kennel, because it was like, he was a worse bed hog than my ex-wife. And that takes some doing. But anyway, I just wanted to share this with you, because it's like, I got up this morning, I'm like, oh, it's the 30th. It's May 30th. It's our anniversary, because I got him on May 30th last year, obviously. But anyway, I just wanted to make this video and share it with you, because I know a lot of you like like watching him and stuff. So, like I said, I just wanted to share it. So, wish Copper a happy anniversary, and we ain't going to dinner or anything. So, at least not until payday. All right, you guys have a good day, and hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.